Everybody, and welcome to Paper Crafting with Tammy. Thank you so much for stopping by my channel today. It is awesome to see you here. I have a great project for us today that we're going to start on in just a minute. If you haven't done it yet, take a minute and hit that big red subscribe button so you see what else I've got for you next time, and let's get started. Hey there, paper crafters, and thanks for joining me today. I have grabbed several rolls of washi tape and then a couple of fun stamp sets, one of them with some thin cuts, and just some white card fronts. And I want to go through some ideas for creating some simple, fast cards using basically these supplies. Obviously, I'm going to pull in, my die cutter. I've got some coordinating colors of ink, like stamp pads that I'm going to be pulling in, and maybe a little bit of cardstock, but mostly what we're going to be using is washi tape. I'm going to use this for some of my accents on my cards. It's a new set from Close to My Heart. It's just got some great, really versatile flowers on it and a couple of little sayings. And then I pulled out a couple of sentiment stamp packs that I've got. These were both Stamp of the Months at some point, but they've got some nice sentiments that are really flexible, long. They're going to fit the idea for what I want to do for these cards today. So if you want to create along with me, grab some washi tape, some basic sentiments, and we'll get started. For the first card today, I took a piece of really pretty kind of turquoise cardstock. Happens to be a little bit shimmery on one side, and then the inside actually is white. So I thought that'll be great for inside of a card. So I cut this to 4 1/4 by 11, and I just folded it in half. This will be a card that flips open that way. And then I just created some nesting panels. So one of my first panel is black. This is just a 1/4 inch shorter on each side so that it nests. So this would be 4 by 5 1/4. And then a white panel to nest inside that, 3 3/4 by 5. Okie doke. So I'm going to set those aside for now. We're going to be dealing with this panel, and I have a little scrap of white here that we're going to be stamping this flower that we're going to be using to decorate the front of the card. So for this, I'm choosing this stitched looking flower. It is one that is going to stamp the majority of the image, and then I'm going to die cut it out. I haven't used this stamp before. It's a new one for me. And I really want 2 of these, so I'm going to go ahead and do both on this little strip. And I was hoping this glacier ink would coordinate well with this washi and that background paper. And I think that ended up being a good choice. For the leaves on this card, I'm actually not going to stamp them. I'm going to go ahead and die cut using this little guy, just some black leaves. So let me get these things die cut, and then I'll be back to show you how to put this together. Alrighty, I've got my little pieces die cut. So we've got those 2 flowers and then a couple of the little leaves. I grabbed some black brads. I really liked the center, the way this kind of pops on this flower, and I thought that'd be fun to go ahead and stick a brad in there. And I grabbed another washi. I was trying out the original one that I had grabbed, thinking I was going to use this one, and it doesn't show up very well on the paper. It's a little lighter than I expected. So I did grab one that I think will work well with this color palette. So the first thing that I want to do is grab that card front, and keep in mind you can use whatever washi you have. Different widths work equally well, so it really just depends on what you have in your collection that you want to utilize. I'm going to just go at a little bit of an angle here and trim. I'm going to grab that other color. Do the same thing. I'm just going to use, leave a little bit of a gap in between. Whoop. Washi's so nice because it comes off easily. If you do overshoot your mark, it's not usually a big deal. And then one last strip. So instead of having to go through all of my scraps and find, coordinating papers, I have my washi, kind of on display. It's in a rack in my room. So easy to just grab a few rolls and go for these cards. So I love that. So I'm just going to wrap all those ends, get that nice and clean. Obviously I could have cut these a little bit shorter and that would have been fine. I'm going to do a little trim here so that I can then wrap that last little piece around that corner. Okay, so there's the basic idea. I want to get these punched real quick and get those brads in because I'm going to pop up these flowers. So let me get that real fast. This is just an old tool called a silent setter. I've had this thing forever. I actually got lost it at one point or loaned it to somebody, and then I had to go on a quest to find another one. It's my favorite punching tool. Okay, so both of those are ready. The last thing that I want to add to this before I get all these flowers, really attached is a sentiment. Okay, so here's the basic idea. Something like this. And then I want to have a sentiment on here. So the one that I chose says thinking of you. And I think that'll fit pretty well right there along that top edge. And I'm just going to put that right above that washi tape line. Okay. So the last thing we need to do is go ahead and adhere the layers together, and we'll have a completed card. Alrighty, voila, first one's done. So you can see how easy that design would be to alter depending on the colors you wanted to play with, the sentiment you wanted to add, and that kind of thing. So fast and easy. For this next card, we're going to be doing some stamping and then some washi and a little bit of die cutting. So this one I'm going to be working straight on a white card base. Okay. I created a little square that we're going to be embellishing. So the little white one is 2.5 by 2.5, and then the black is 2 3/4 by 2 3/4. Okay, so we're going to be adding that to the card front. And then this piece is for me to do some stamping and some die cutting of the flowers that we're going to use. So this time we're going to be using an ink that's called Canary. I'm going to use that same flower. I'm a pretty big fan of this new little flower I got. I always like to really take advantage of those items when I add them to my collection. I love that color. It almost makes it look like a sunflower. So I'm going to set those aside because I am going to be die cutting those out. And we'll go ahead and work on the next little piece of this card. Those die cut flowers are going to be added to this square, but I'm going to want the greenery on there. So this time I'm going to go ahead and just stamp this leaf. I'm not going to die cut it out. It's going to be on the background of this square anyway. Okay. So I know that I'm going to want a leaf kind of coming this direction and this direction, and then those die cut flowers will go right on there. Okay. So just kind of corner to corner, and then we'll add that other detail. On the card front, I'm going to be using just a black and white palette of washi. So I grabbed that same one that I used last time that was mainly black with a little design, and then I grabbed a mostly white one that has a black design. Okay. We're going to be just creating a couple of strips right on the front of this card. So with this washi, I'm going to go ahead and cut an angle at the top. And I don't want to quite touch the top of my card. I'm going to go close. And of course you're trying to keep this straight, but I'm not measuring, I'm just eyeballing it. And I'm coming almost to the bottom of my card, but not quite. And then one more angle. I'm going to do the same thing with the black, but I don't want it to be in exactly the same position. So I'm going to scooch it over and down just a bit. Go ahead and cut it in an angle as well. You don't need to worry if it's the same angle, doesn't need to be exact. Put this one right next to it and come down just a little bit further. Okay, so there's the basic front. I've got a sentiment that I want to stamp on here, but I'm going to wait until I get this card embellishment figured out so that we can place the stamp correctly. So let me go die cut these and I'll be right back. Okay, so I've got those flowers die cut. I'm going to go ahead and attach this little white panel to the black one. Put it up here so I can see it a little better. Okay. I'm not going to pop the flowers up this time. I'm going to go ahead and just adhere them down. And I'm just going to overlap them a bit. And just really fill that panel with that just yellow fun. Instead of doing a brad, I'm going to go ahead and just use an enamel dot this time. And adhere this straight onto the card. And then I want to stamp on this one. I'm going to just use a happy anniversary. And I'm just doing this in black. I positioned my stamps for this so that the sentiment is kind of left justified so that I can kind of tuck it right into this space. There we go. So again, very quick and easy card utilizing things that you probably already have in your collection. Let's see, we're going to do another one. For this next one, I've chosen a red and black color palette. So I've got a nice bright red washi tape, and then I grabbed another black and white one. I keep finding myself drawn to those for some reason. I've got a black stamp pad, a red stamp pad. I've got a red A2 card base, a white card front, and then this is just a little scrap that I'm gonna stamp my flower on. Okay, so for this one, let's start with the white card panel, and we're gonna do a strip of the black and white washi all the way across the front. So, sorry, I'm trying to find where it starts. There we go. And I'm gonna be a little up from center. And then I'm going to do the same thing with the red right underneath it. So you can leave a little space between it if you want, or not, whichever works for you. This one has a little bit of a rough edge, so I just want to make sure I get past that before I start to adhere it down. This washi reminds me of Minnie Mouse. This red with the polka dots. Actually with that black and that black chevron too. This looks like it could be a Disney card. It's going to be happy. That's really what I was going for. I just wanted something that was bright and pretty. And again, any color that you decided you wanted to put in here would work, right? I just picked the red. So I've got a ruby stamp pad. I go ahead and ink this flower. And I'm just gonna do one impression for this particular card. That is not as red as I was hoping. I think I'm gonna do that one more time with a different red ink. I grabbed candy apple. We'll see if it's a little bit more of a bright red like I'm looking for. Looks like it. Much better. That's really what I wanted. Okay, so let me go ahead and get that piece die cut, and then I'll show you how we're going to put this one together. Okay, here's my red flower. I'm going to just rough the edges of this up a little bit. Give it a little bit of texture. Yeah, that was the back side of a messy card. That's funny. I'm gonna do most of my foam dots for this one around the center so I can keep that little bit of texture on here. And for this one, I'm just going to center this here. Oh, picked up a. Just going to center it here. I want to go ahead and stamp. I grabbed a little bit larger scale stamp this time. It just says smile on it. But there's a lot of white space on this card, which is fine. I just wanted to bring in this fun smile sentiment. This card looks like it would be perfect to send to somebody right before a trip to Disneyland. Alrighty. We're just going to mount what's there on the card base. Look at how happy that card is. Just a cute little cutie. Little cutie happy card. And for this one, I'm going to do a little bit smaller center. Okay. Card number 3, finished. For the last card today, we're actually not going to be using any of the flower stamps, but we are going to be doing a little die cut. And what I did was chose 5 colors of washi tape that all have a slightly different design. And then I found cardstocks that complement those different washi tapes. What I'm going to do is die cut some little flowers to match out of each one of these colors, and then we're going to be assembling the card. So I'm going to go ahead and die cut one flower from each color, and then I'll come back and we'll get it put together. So the idea for this last card is to stagger a little further and a little further out with each of the colors of washi tape, and then to cap it with one of these flowers. So to make it a little bit easier to manage the spacing, I'm going to start with the green, which is going to be my middle color. I'm going to bring that out. And I know I want it to come to about the middle of the card. So I'm going to go ahead and cut it there. It's okay if it's a little bit rough because it's going to have the flower on the end of it. Yellow is going to be my first color. So I'm going to go ahead and do it next. Pretty close to the top, not right there. I'm going to come down maybe 1/4 of an inch. But again, just easier to get the spacing by starting there. My last color is the purple, so I'm going to go ahead and do it next, all the way down at the bottom. So this one's going to come out. It's not going to go all the way across the card, but close. Again, you're just kind of going for that staggered line. Now I can fill in the ones that are missing. So I can go ahead and hit the orange, and it's a little easier to figure out my spacing, right? So bring the orange about to there. And then this really beautiful turquoise. In between. So I can tell my spacing's not exactly perfect. I am not somebody who would probably take it apart and fix it. I think that's close enough. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap those ends. And then I want to pop these up just on a foam dot. I'm going to start at the top, get my yellow one. I'm just going to do one little foam dot. Bring that in. And I'm just going to work my way down so that each one comes a little bit further out. Spacing on this is probably not going to be exact. You can modify a little bit if you're finding that one is really far off as you're going down. But I just thought with these coordinating colors of washi and cardstock, what a fun little card front we've got here. Okay, so that part's done. If you wanted to put like an enamel dot or a jewel or something in front of each of those, you absolutely could. I am going to stamp just a cute little love you stamp. It says love you XOXO. Just going to fill in a little bit of this white space with this. And then my plan is just to mount this on a white card base. You could definitely do it on a colored card base if you wanted that extra pop around the edge. That's the fun thing about these. You really can change it up super easily with some small changes. Different colors of cardstock, different colors of washi, different stamp or punch or die cut. Just have a good time with it. So there's card number 4 today, and I'm going to go ahead and stop here. If you enjoyed this washi tape kind of demo and want to see more ideas, go ahead and leave me a comment so I know that. I'd be happy to do another series like this. I had a lot of fun with these cards and I enjoyed my time with you guys today. If you haven't done it yet, take a minute and hit that subscribe button. It's always nice to know that I'm reaching some people and that you guys are enjoying the things I'm putting out. So there's the 4 that we made today. All really different, but all really fun. So I hope to see you again soon. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.